Chapter 7, Sampling and Sampling Distribution. Our learning outcomes. Number 1, explain the concept random sampling and select a random sample. Number 2, describe the use of sampling distribution of the sample mean. Number 3, explain and use the central limit theory. Number 4, describe and use the sampling proportion. Random sample consists of n elements taken from a population by random selection. Random selection is a process of taking a sample of a population wherein elements have the same chance of being selected. Example of a simple random sample would be the names of 25 employees being chosen out of a hat from a company of 250 employees. In this case, the population is all 250 employees and the sample is random because each employee has an equal chance of being chosen. Sample with replacement. Placing the chosen element back into the population. It is the best to sample without replacement. Random sampling is a type of probability sampling. Here are the comparison of with and without replacement. In sampling without replacement, the two sample values aren't independent. Practically, this means that what we got on the first one affects what we can get for the second one. When the sample with replacement, the two sample values are independent. Practically, this means that what we got on the first one does not affect what we get on the second. Convenience sampling. Selection based on ease and convenience. Voluntary response sampling. Participants self-select. A voluntary response sampling is a sample made up of volunteers. Compared to a random sampling, these types of sample are always biased. For example, people who can in the radio show poll may have strong opinions about a topic in either direction. Judgment sampling. A person selects population elements he or she deems as representatives of the population. It's a type of non-random sample that is selected based on the opinion of an expert. Results obtained from a judgment sample are subject to some degrees of bias. Due to the frame of population not being identical, the frame is a list of all the units, items, people, etc. that define the population to be studied.
Sampling distributions. Suppose that we draw all possible samples of size n from a given population. Suppose further that we compute a statistic for each sample. The probability distribution of this statistic is called a sampling distribution, and the standard deviation of this statistic is called the standard error. Variability of a sampling distribution is measured by its variance or its standard deviation. The variability of sampling distribution depends on three factors. If the population size is much larger than the sample size, then the sampling distribution has roughly the same standard error. Whether we sample with or without replacement, on the other hand, if the sample represents a significant fraction of the population size, the standard error will be meaningfully smaller when we sample without replacement. Sampling distribution of the mean. Suppose we draw all possible samples of size n from a population of size n. Suppose further that we compute a mean score for each sample. In this way, we create the sampling distribution of the mean. We know the following about the sampling distribution of the mean. The mean of the sampling distribution is equal to the mean of the population, and the standard error of the sampling distribution is determined by the standard deviation of the population. The population size and the sample size. These relationships are shown in the equations below.
Created using Powtoon.